Hello everyone. Do you want to improve your chess calculation? I guess you do. So here are 5 critical chess calculation puzzles if you really want to improve your calculation. Let's begin. Okay, so we have the puzzle number 1 on the board. It's black to move. Try to pause the video and try to find the complete winning sequence. And before I begin, the strength of these puzzles is around 1500 to 1600 above FIDE rating. So if you're a newbie, if you're a beginner, it might be impossible for you. But who knows, maybe my words trigger you and you can give it a go and you can even solve this. So yeah, try to find the best defense for your opponent as well, and let's go. Okay, so in this position it's black to play and the topic name is find the unexpected blow. You need to find the move bishop cross h3, sacrificing the bishop. And now, first of all these 5 puzzles are from real game. So after bishop cross h3, now for what happens if white just takes the bishop? Now once white takes it, now many of the players must be thinking, I'm not sure how to continue, maybe knight f4. It's not working, I can simply take the knight, you have to take, and I can play d4, opening up the position. I'm just a piece up for nothing. I can even sacrifice the h3 pawn. You have to move the knight, and I can simply jump in with queen f5, and I'm the one who is winning now. So this is not working. Instead, you need to find the move queen f6, getting the pieces into the game. Now, you can't move the knight because f2 is hanging, and eventually the g3 knight will fall. You have to defend the knight, and guess what? There is no good way to defend the knight at the play. The only way is to play the move king g2. Now white can also try bishop d5, capturing the knight, trying to reduce the pieces quantity, but it's not going to happen. It's still the same thing. King g2, knight h4 check. We sack the knight, it's a check, we are attacking the knight. White have to take the knight, and once white takes it, we give a check, the king moves, and now we simply take on g3. And this is completely winning as the arrows display. The knight is hanging. The knight move, I can take on h3, and that's a mate as the g1 square is already covered by the bishop. And that's completely winning position for black. So yeah, that's exactly what happens if white takes the bishop. But in the game, c4 was played. And now I'm pretty sure many of you guys have not seen c4. 99% of the players definitely must have missed c4. So I want to give you guys one more try. Try to pause the video and try to find the move. Okay, so after c4, the only move here is to play the move knight f4. We jump in with the knight. In the game we had c5, but just to clarify the things, white is having 2 ways. White can either take the bishop or white can either go for capturing the knight. If white goes for capturing the bishop first, we play the move queen d7. And now we can also play the move knight h3 check. This is also fine. King g2, but eventually in the end of the day, you need to find the move queen d7 check. As if you try to go for playing something else like knight check, this allows white to equalize the position after takes, king moves, and white is absolutely fine. So that's the reason you need to find queen d7, and that's the reason queen d7 is the main move. It's extremely hard, but that's the point of solving these puzzles. Queen h3 is a big threat, and followed by queen g2, it's a mate. So let's say white takes, and white can go for playing the move knight to e2. And now we play the move knight h3 check. There are other ways as well. You can also take the pawn with the queen, but knight h3 is the cleanest way. The king move, we take the pawn on f2, and that's completely winning, and yeah, that's it. So that's exactly what happens if white takes the bishop. If white takes the knight on f4 first, we take it back with the pawn. Because if you try to take it back with the knight, that's also fine. But I'm not sure, maybe d4 or something, but knight f4 is not the precise way to continue. We take with the pawn, attacking the knight on g3. And basically after rook e8 check, queen e8, trying to reduce the pieces, this is completely winning now because let's count the material. Black is currently having 7 pawns. White is having 6 pawns. Black is already a pawn up, having the bishop pair advantage. You have to take the bishop. I take the knight. That's completely winning. You can't even take the pawn because the pawn is pinned. So that's exactly what happens. So let's say in the game we had c5. And now, once again, black needs to find the only move, which is knight g2, and that's amazing. Basically, if you try to go back with the bishop, it's not going to work because After takes, you see the bishop on b6 was the main thing. And now there is no f2, so white is completely winning. After queen d7, takes, rook e3. If the bishop would have been on b6, the bishop would have simply captured the rook. But now after rook e3, queen h3 threatening a mate. After knight e1, the g2 square is covered. And that's some insane defense, and white is the one who's better. So that's the reason you play the move knight g2. White have to take now. You play the move queen f6 now, attacking the knight moves, and now you play the move taking the rook takes it, and we simply take the piece, and that's completely winning. After ab6, black is completely winning. Let's try to count the material. Black is having a rook for the 2 minor pieces. Black is having 7 pawns, and white is having 4 pawns. So 3 pawns and a rook for the 2 minor pieces, which is absolutely winning for black. So yeah, this was the puzzle number 1. So now let's move on to the puzzle number 2. Okay, so we have the puzzle number 2 on the board. Once again, it's black to move. Try to pause the video and try to find the complete winning sequence. Okay, so yeah, if you haven't, you can once again think, and just to make things clear, always try to find your opponent's best defense. So basically in this position, what's happening? White is attacking the queen. And yeah, that's the whole point. And if you move the queen, the knight is hanging on e4. So what do? You play the move knight to d2, and that's an amazing move. So basically, okay, let me first show you the right way. So after knight d2, what's happening? Now, knight c6 was happened in the game. If f3, because it makes sense, because basically after knight to d2, black is threatening a mate on g2. So for example, okay, let me start with knight c6, because that's the most obvious move in the position. We play the move knight f3 check. The king goes to h1, and now we play the move bishop to g2 check, forcing white to take the bishop. We take the rook, attacking the king and the queen. The king moves, we take the queen, white takes the bishop with a check, we play king f8, attacking the knight, attacking the rook. So the only good defense white is having is to capture the pawn and defend. We take the rook, white can give a check, attacking the rook, we can move the king, takes, and that's winning for black. That's it, that's the right continuation. And now going a bit back, in this position after knight to d2, if white plays a move like f3, stopping the mate in this position, black can simply take the pawn on f3, takes, and black is simply winning. White is having 5 pawns, black is having 6 pawns, even the bishop pair and light squares are extremely weak, which is a great advantage for black, and black is winning. And going a bit back, now another move that arises in the mind here is, can we play a move like a knight g5, which also makes the same sense? But here it's not working because white is having f4, and you see if the knight would have been on d2, the queen path was blocked. But as currently the knight is on g5, the queen is open to guard the g2 square. You can try to play knight f3 check, but this time white is having an extra pawn on f4, which makes this slightly better for black, though not winning. So that's the reason you need to find the move knight to d2. If you thought of something like knight f2, knight g3, it's not going to work. I can at least take the knight, or I can even go for capturing the queen. So that's the reason the right move is knight d2, and that's an amazing move. A long calculation, but worth it. So this was the puzzle number 2. So now let's move on to the puzzle number 3. Okay, so we have the puzzle number 3 on the board. It's white to move. Try to pause the video, and something insane is happening in this position. So try to find the complete winning sequence. Okay, so what's happening? So in this position, the right move is queen f8 check, sacrificing the queen. Now there are other moves that obviously pops in everyone's mind because this position is so tempting to play. First, starting with the move knight g6. It's not working. It looks pretty natural. We are attacking the rook. We want to take the rook, and that's a mate. You can't take the knight because the pawn is pinned. And if you try to play something like rook d8, it's winning for white because I can sacrifice the bishop. Let's say you take with the queen. I take the rook, and now I give a check. Now you can't go to f8 because I can capture everything with some discover attacks. So you have to move the king to h8. And now I play queen e3 with the idea of capturing the pawn on h3, and that would be a mate. sorry, capturing the pawn on h6 as the g7 pawn is spin. You have to play king h7, and now I can play queen d3, check. You go back with the king, I can capture the knight on d8. So you have to play knight bishop f5, but now I can simply capture the bishop on f5 with the knight, keeping the discover attack open. Rook e7 is coming in, and that's completely winning for white. So that's exactly what's happening. But black is having the only move to save this game, which is bishop g4. And as I say, you must always look out for their opponent's best defense. That's the only way you can see the move bishop g4. And after bishop g4, that's pretty easy. Now the rook defends the rook. There is no mate. I'm attacking the rook as well. You can take the rook. I can take the rook, and that's absolutely fine. I'm threatening to capture the bishop on b3, threatening to capture the the knight on f8, and black is absolutely fine. So that's the reason knight g6 is not working. Another move that pops in everyone's mind is bishop f7. Sacrificing the bishop maybe. Now after rook cross f7, knight cross c6, because you can't take the rook because nothing is happening. I can simply take it back with the queen. You have to go for capturing the knight, and let's say knight c4. Now first of all, after knight cross c6, I can even take this piece with the pawn as well. But a better way is to play the move knight to c4. And basically it's not winning, though it shows white is slightly better. Let's say a check. If you try to play something like knight e7, which is showing like the best move in this position, I can play the move king h7, queen d3 check, bishop f5, and this is perhaps the best continuation. You do not need to take the bishop over here as there is knight b2. Instead, you need to play the move queen to d5, which I'm a bit surprised, and I don't know what's the continuation though. It's not winning. So going back. So basically knight c4 is absolutely the best. I can, at the very least, I can take the knight and nothing is happening, and black is absolutely fine. So bishop cross f7 is also not working. Instead, the best continuation is to sacrifice the queen for the rook. Black takes it, and now we play knight g6. And this was the puzzle which I got right when me and my friends were doing these puzzles at the late night. It was very much fun, and I found this answer, and that's amazing. Knight g6 check, and now let's say if black tries to move the king, I can give a check, the king move, knight f8 check, forcing the king back, check, the king move, I can take the queen. And let's say after it still looks like we are losing the bishop, just to make the things easy, let's say black takes the bishop, we take the rook, black takes the pawn, attacking the rook, we can play rook c1, knight takes, knight here, rook here, and we are going to take the pawn on the next move. White is winning. So let's say black takes, and now we play the move bishop a3 check. All the squares are occupied now. The black king can't move. Black have to play knight e7, and now it's time to not sacrifice the rook, but just capture the knight with the rook. And now the whole point here is if the queen takes the rook, rook d8 is simply a checkmate as the queen is pinned. And the king is not really having any way to go, and that's game over. So let's say black can play a move like a b3, but I can take the queen with a check. You can't take the bishop as rook d8 would be a checkmate. You have to play the move king g8, check. I can play bishop b2, threatening a mate. You have to play h5, I can take it. Play the move rook to d6, threatening a mate. You can play bishop f5, but now rook f7. You can take the pawn, bishop c1 is a checkmate, and the game is over. So this was the puzzle number 3, a very exciting one. And you see, like if you really want to improve your calculation, these are the puzzles you need to solve. So this was the puzzle number 3. So now let's move on to the puzzle number 4. Okay, so we have the puzzle number 4 on the board. It's black to move. Try to pause the video and try to find the correct continuation for black. Okay, so I personally believe this puzzle is comparatively easier than the previous 3. And the right move is rook d6, sacrificing the rook for the knight, and that's pretty easy. There are maybe other moves that pops in everyone's mind, maybe something like I don't know, maybe knight fg4, but it's not going to work because you're threatening a mate on h2 indeed, but I can just take the knight over here. After knight takes, h3 would be a big blunder, because after takes, black can play queen g3, threatening a mate and also attacking the knight twice. So white is basically losing a piece. Instead, at the place of h3, white can play the move bishop f4, defending h2, and white is the one who's pressing. Now let's say bishop a6, a last try, you can't move the rook because the f2 is falling, but I'm having an intermediate move with bishop g3 attacking the queen move. I can take the knight, takes, and I can even take the bishop, but even better is bishop e5, threatening a mate on g7. You have to play queen g6. I can trade off the queen first and then take the bishop. I'm having 2 pieces for the rook, which is completely winning for white. So that's why this is not going to work. Knight fg4 is a blunder. Rook d6 is the correct continuation. White have to take, or else white is going to be a piece down. And now queen e4, and that's it. Queen e4, that's game over. I'm threatening a mate on g2. Now if you try to play bishop f3, I can just take the bishop, take over here, and that's a mate. So let's say if the only way to defend here is f3, but now I can take. Now rook f2. If you play king h1, I can just take. You can't take the knight because f1 is hanging, and that's a mate. You have to play the move rook f2, and now you need to find another only move. You can try to pause the video. Okay, knight e to g4, only move, giving up here, and to play the move knight e4, and that's game over. You can try to play queen f4, trying to trade off the queens, but just queen cross c5. You can't even take the knight because it's defended, and on the next move, I'm going to trade everything on f2. I'm going to be a piece up, a rook up. That's good enough for black to win the game. So that's how you need to solve the puzzle number 4. A very interesting one, comparatively, I believe, much easier than the previous 3. So this was the puzzle number 4. So now let's move on to the last puzzle of the day. Okay, so we have the final puzzle, the puzzle number 5 on the board. It's white to move. Try to pause the video, and just to let you know, this puzzle requires a lot of calculation. Try to put up a board just with you and try to solve it on the board. It's a very interesting puzzle, and definitely this can help you to improve your calculation. It's white to move. Okay, so now the correct move. Before I get to the correct move, I want to discuss wrong moves. So something like, what should I even start with? Let's say rook g8 check. But this is not working. King h7. Now, if I try to capture the rook, that would be a blunder because it allows white to play the move queen d8 check, the king moves, and white can take it. And this is winning. Eventually, this position transposes. I'm going to tell you in the near future. The correct continuation for black is just play king h7, and this is a draw because let's say white is once again having a couple of moves available. Let's say rook e8. Now I can take after check. Thanks to the king on h7 instead of g7, I'm having this queen g7 intermezzo, and once the white takes the rook, I can take the pawn on g3, white takes it back, and I can start checking with queen d4, and that would be a perpetual, and that's a draw. So this is not working. Let's say I try g4. I just take the pawn, and nothing is happening. That's a plain draw. Maybe you can try something like this, but rook e6, and there is no mate as h8 square is already occupied. So this is also not working. Maybe you can try gh6, but now after fg3 check, like after fg3 nothing is happening. I'm threatening to capture the pawn on f2. You have to try rook g7 check, but after takes, I can just take the pawn, and that's like after takes I can even give a check. You move the king, I can even take the pawn, and black is the one who's winning. So yeah, this is also not working. So let's say queen d8, attacking the rook maybe, but I can give a check, another check, sacrificing the pawn, and this is a very nice continuation. Queen check, another check, sacrificing the rook with a check, check, and like white is not really having anything. Black can take, and this is a draw. You can't even take the queen because this pawn is already much far ahead than the king. That would be a winning. So this is just a draw. Like white can't win this. So going back, rook g8 would be a blunder. The correct continuation is to play the move rook e8. And after rook e8, that's game over. Like that's literally game over. Like if you try to protect the rook, I can simply play queen a1 check, and you move the king, and that's mate. So that's not going to work. You have to take the rook. That's the only thing. And now it allows white to play queen d7 check. Take over here. You can't play king f8, of course, because queen f7 is a mate. So check. Queen d7 check. First of all, there are many ways to win, but I like the queen d7 way because you can't play queen g7 because e7 wins. You have to play the move queen g8, and the only thing You need to see. If you haven't, you can still pause the video. Okay. White need to see the move king g2. That's a very nice move. A very nice move. And you see, black is not really having anything now. Like, if you try to play something like e7, that would be a blunder because it allows, like, somehow it just shows it's winning. But maybe after queen e1 check, king g2, there is f3 check. And after king h3, okay, this is also winning, but yeah. King over here, h5 check, king f4, queen c1 check. You need to find the only moves like queen king e4. That's insane. After queen c4 check, there is king e3, queen e2 check, king f4, the only move. Look, I'm not sure if this is winning. This is insane, yeah? But the cleanest way here is king g2, and you must see the move king g2 because it ensures the win. Because what happens here is, like, let's say if you try to play something like queen e5, trying to give some checks, it's not going to work. I can push. Check, I can safeguard my king on h2. You can give me a check and I can take it with the king. You can give me a check, but after a couple of checks, the king can hide on g2. There are no checks available and white is winning. So let's say black gives a check with f3 push check. Now king h3, let's say the black plays a move like queen a1 trying to check the white king. I can give a check now, take the pawn on f3, and that's winning. So that's the reason why king g2 was such an important and a crucial move in such positions, because we do not want our opponent to give us perpetual checks, and that would be a draw. So king g2 is a very important move. So these were all the 5 puzzles. I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and definitely it's worth doing if you really want to improve your calculation and puzzles. And yeah, if you're a beginner, it might have been insane puzzles for you, but like top players can definitely do it. So yeah, these were the 5 puzzles, a very interesting one, very insane one. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like, share, and smash that subscribe button. I'm going to see you soon in the next one. Thank you for watching, and bye bye.